Hello and welcome to About Books. Coming up on this edition, we speak with Madeline Heneghan, co-director at Writing on the Wall, about WOWFest 2016. Later in the show, I speak with author Mal Jones about his debut novel, Can Openers. But first, WOWFest 2016. Established in 2000, Writing on the Wall is part of the National Arts Portfolio and is the longest-standing literature festival in Liverpool. Celebrating its 17th year, it will run for the whole of May and typically culminates in around 35 events. WOWFest 2016 hosts local, national and international writers, performers, artists and commentators whose work provokes controversy and debate. Writing on the Wall celebrates writing in all its forms, including literature, creative writing, journalism and non-fiction, poetry, songwriting and storytelling. Tim Quinn spoke to co-director of Writing on the Wall, Madeline Heneghan, about the events planned for WOWFest 2016.
For the last 16 years here on Merseyside, the Writing on the Wall Festival has grown in success. We're here today to find out about this year's exciting festival. Madeline Heneghan, welcome to About Books.
Thank you.
I've been looking through the festival booklet, and well, that's my May taken care of. Some amazing names coming to this event. Can I take you back though first, and can you give us some idea of the origins of the Writing on the Wall Festival?
Yeah, the idea and the concept or the notion of a festival based in Liverpool, a writers' festival, really grew out of the Dockers dispute. And a writers group that came out of that dispute of sacked dockers, of activists. Mike Morris, my co-director, was one of those people. Jimmy McGovern was also one of those people. Out of that group came the TV documentary Dockers, but it also came this idea for an annual writing festival. And so the first festival happened in 2000. It was supported with a very small grant from John Moores University and a whole host of in-kind support. And that's our origins, really, and I'm very proud of those we are.
It's grown and grown each year.
It has.
I mean, people are really looking forward to it. What's the theme? Is there a theme this year? Or?
This year we have a theme weaving its way through the festival that is sci-fi, futuristic, out of this world kind of theme. And the reason that we decided to kind of look to the future, if you like, is that for quite our most recent festivals looking back have been commemorating anniversaries. So last year we had American Dreams, and there was a whole lot of historic stuff in that. Prior to that, we had the First World War. Going back even further, we had we commemorated the 30th anniversary of the L8 riots. So this year we felt it was important to kind of look a bit more to the future, and also to bring in more younger audiences, actually.
One of the names I see on the bill I'm very excited about, Dave Gibbons.
Dave Gibbons, yeah.
I mean, can you tell us a little about him?
Yeah, Dave Gibbons, it's an absolute coup, and we're delighted to have him. He is, of course, the co-creator of the legendary Watchmen, and we're going to be having an event with Dave in the Blue Coat on the 5th of May, along with another comic book legend, I do believe. I can't remember his name right. Oh no, it's you, Tim.
Oh, me.
It's you, yeah. So
tiny font for me, huge for Dave.
No, so that is going to be a great event, and he's staying with us for the following day, where he's going to launch a school project in an event for schools, and he's launching a project called Words Are Our Superheroes, Words Are Our Power. So absolutely thrilled and delighted to have him.
What will his talk be on? He's giving a talk, you said. What does that involve?
I've got no idea.
Keep going. Another name that sprang out at me, Dirk Maggs.
Dirk Maggs, of course, of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Quite a history,
yeah,
that guy.
Yeah, another coup, I think, in terms of the world of sci-fi. And he will be giving an illustrated talk around sci-fi and radio, writing sci-fi for radio. So again, very much looking forward to that.
Who are you looking forward to seeing most? I mean, there must be certain people on the bill that you know, right, I can't wait for that one.
Okay, well, not so much about a who, but an event which is, I feel, quite groundbreaking actually. It's a whole event around Afrofuturism that'll be taking place in District on the 21st of May. And we're bringing a whole host of techies, writers and storytellers, artists and illustrators to explore the concept of Afrofuturism through a whole load of genres. And one of the bigger names come into that. Actually, we've got artists come in. We've got Yatasha Yomak, who's flying in all the way from Chicago for that event. She's an Afrofuturist writer. And we've also got John Daniel, who will have an exhibition running throughout May at the Maritime Museum, and he's created a character called Afro Superhero, where he will be presenting an illustrated talk that will accompany his exhibition, his own personal exhibition of Afro Superheroes. So that's kind of an exciting event and quite different, really, we feel. Quite unique and innovative. And the after party for that event, we've got a DJ set with Jerry Dammers of The Specials. So really looking forward to that.
I also see Phil Redmond.
Yeah.
And David Putnam, two massive names from TV and movies. What are they doing?
Well, we're actually, the festival is taking part in a parliamentary inquiry into television and whether it represents the regions or whether it's just totally London focused. Does it represent Liverpool? Does local TV really represent what goes on here, represent what goes on here politically? So Lord Putnam is heading up an inquiry, and as part of that he's hosting 7 events around the country, and Liverpool is one of the cities that he's bringing that inquiry to. So we're having a public event. We have Phil Redmond of Brookside fame, of course. Everybody knows who Phil is.
Grange Hill.
And Grange Hill. A very popular Liverpool figure. And today we have announced a real coup that we have Ken Loach coming along to who will feature in that event, and Sue Fox from the Hansard Society, who will be still at that event collecting research into TV in the regions that will then be presented to Parliament later on in the year.
That's fantastic. So it's continuing to grow, even though you're I mean, it's imminent. The festival starts in a couple of weeks.
It does, on the 1st of May, when we will have, over the bank holiday weekend, a time machine will touch down in Liverpool One shopping centre, and shoppers of all ages will be invited by our science rapper and communicator, Jonathan Chase. They'll be invited to step into that time machine and to travel to whatever period they choose, and in the vein of writing on the wall, they'll be asked to write about their travels and the adventures that they've been on. So that time machine will be in Liverpool One on the Sunday and the Monday of the bank holiday weekend, and then it will move to the Blue Coat Gardens, and there'll be more time travel throughout the month.
Francesca Martinez.
Yes, Francesca.
Tell me more.
She is a comedian who, she's recently written a book called, I don't know if I can say it.
I think you can. We'll bleep you
if
necessary.
Yeah, her book is entitled What the is Normal. And
no, you can't say that.
What do we do? What do we do? Okay, yeah. So Francesca will be in conversation. She's very, very funny. She has cerebral palsy, although she describes herself as being wobbly. And the book is autobiography, and she'll be talking about that. And yeah.
Alexi Sale, friend of Liverpool.
Yeah,
He's back.
I'm friend of the festival actually.
Yeah.
He's helped us make a film about 1930s writer George Garrett. He's been very supportive of the festival, and he has written his next book of memoirs, which he'll be discussing and in conversation with Brian Reid, Mirror columnist Brian Reid, in the Leaf Cafe.
I'm excited. Well, I'm excited by so many of the things that are popping up, but Ramsey Campbell is doing the art of sci-fi short stories.
He is, along with another acclaimed writer, Stephen Baxter, and they're going to be discussing partly the influence that H.G. Wells has had upon their work, which fits really lovely in with our time machine.
The overall theme, yeah. Mandy Coe.
Mandy Coe will be launching her book of poetry
Yeah.
in the festival. Mandy Coe's another WOW favourite.
Yeah. And something I just love, I know nothing about this, I just saw the line, stand up and spit. I thought, I got to be there for that. What is it?
It's a poetry night, but a very particular brand of ranting poetry, headed up by Tim Wells, who has been performing on stages, clubs, pubs since probably the late 70s, and he has documented the whole history of ranty poetry, as it's called, not to be confused with punk poetry, but it evolved around that same time, and he's got a fantastic lineup for us, including Selena Godden, who performed in last year's festival with Lem Sisse, and she was absolutely amazing.
Madeline, I know there's so much more. I mean, it's just jam-packed, and you're still adding things. It's going to be an amazing festival. Kicks off when?
On the 1st of May.
On the 1st and runs through May.
Runs through till the 28th.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mal Jones is a social worker for an emergency duty team and is a socialist, political activist, shop steward and supporter of Social Work Action Network. Having worked in the public sector for 30 years, Mal has seen many frontline workers doing their utmost to offer support and compassion in austere times. Profoundly concerned that the welfare state is being run as a business where private companies make vast profits from those who are unwell and in intense distress, he turned to writing to express his sadness and frustration. His debut novel, Can Openers, focuses on the future of the welfare system and those at the mercy of the changes that are imposed. Favourably compared to the ragged-trousered philanthropists in 1984, I spoke with Mal recently to find out more. Here with Mal Jones, who's the author of Can Openers, who's come to tell us a little bit about this book, which you published last year. Hi Mal, how are you doing? Why don't you tell us a little bit about this dystopian thriller, which is really about the NHS. It's very dark in places, isn't it? But there is some hope.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked for the public sector for over 20 years now, and what I've seen over that time is a change of emphasis to an NHS which is run on the market, on a business type of mentality, consumist values, where people almost become as commodities, the patients become commodities or whatever, and there's a managerialism around whereby production line seems to be the mentality.
And staff who are really talented and really dedicated are also treated like a commodity, aren't they?
Absolutely, very much so. And I think that shows also with the junior doctors dispute what's going on at the moment.
You've been involved in that, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I was on the picket lines in Wigan and part of my book really is to say really that people who work for the health service don't want commodities. They want time with people, spend time with patients, spend time with service users. And the fact is because of the targets and the cuts, you don't have any time to spend with people. And then when you go and meet the junior doctors on the picket line, you realise this isn't about contracts. It's about a dystopian future not happening, what I'm describing really, a situation whereby the doctors don't want to see it like an American health service. I went for coffee with the doctors afterwards. They're absolutely fantastic, humane individuals. Are fighting for a service, fighting to treat people as human beings, not commodities. It's far bigger and far greater. And I suppose some of the issues in my book, particularly around the can openers, it's an organisation, union organisation.
Tell us around, because that's the title of the book, isn't it? So it's obviously
the book,
very important to the action. So tell us a little bit
well,
about
the can openers
those.
is basically a union, if you like, a union which is created from below, who actually was created part of the Dibble Corporation, the multinational company. Now, Dibble Corporation not only runs like the factories and where the can opener started, but Dibble Corporation in this dystopian world also runs the care services in part with the state services. Right. And there's a contradiction between private and state. And the multinational companies are making a lot of money in a dystopian world out of cutting the benefits of the poorest in society.
What's the role of the can openers in this? To mediate between one group and the other?
I mean, the can openers themselves are an organisation, basically, which actually fought over pay initially in their own environment, but changed to fight over the whole system themselves and saying, actually, it's not just about pay and conditions. When it comes to people's lives, what matter, when it comes to things what matter for people, the health service is so important because in the end, if you don't have the health service, people die young, etc., and all sort of health inequality. So they realised as soon as they started taking action, there was a wider world out there, and the can openers got involved in arguments against dependence departments, which are treating people like dirt, making cuts. And actually, there was another campaign centred around the positive choice injection, which in this dystopian world, you have a situation whereby older people are pushed into having a choice of whether to die or not, if you like, voluntary euthanasia. Yeah. But unfortunately, the multinational companies have taken over this and actually now use it to basically call people at a younger age and make money out of it. So actually, you have dignity in life counsellors who are actually part of the multinational companies who basically trying to steer the conversation to people take the choice to die.
So and then the multinational set up the problem really clearly.
Yeah.
What are the solutions? Obviously, the can openers focus or feature rather large in that.
Yeah.
But are there other solutions? It's quite a hopeful text on some level.
Yeah.
You identify the problem, but then you go on to suggest.
Well, the very nature in the services now, both in social services and in health services, is a tick box mentality. You see people who suffer mental health difficulties and who actually basically have massive risk assessments as though it's their own fault, individualising the problem of medicine, individualising the problem of poverty. So somebody's obese and it's their fault, etc., not due to the equality and poverty.
Identifying the blame culture is an important part of it. But how do you deal with that?
Well, I think how to deal with it is to understand that there's contradictions. Even my main character starts off a bully and he's really nasty. But how you deal with that, actually, when he starts to get involved in a collective action against the system, even he changes, even the main protagonist, who's taken all the ideological baggage of the system, believes the poor deserve to be poor, that's their own fault, changes throughout the book. And when he meets groups, when he meets the organisation who collectively try to change things, he realises that human beings, it's different to this. We're more human. And my answer really is people coming together in that way and we understand off each other rather, as the market does, separate people as individuals.
I'm a big believer in collective
and
action.
I think that's my hope. My hope is the junior doctors give me massive hope.
Yeah.
And that's the answer, if you like, to what's going on in Liverpool Hope University, Social Work Action Network. The new social workers coming in went over to Calais and took things for refugees. That's the hope. Okay. I was on a march on Saturday, Stand Up to Racism, where people want 20,000 people welcome refugees here. It's not all negative, and that's a hope in the world, really.
So as well as individual resistance and collective action within each individual sector, what you're suggesting is that politically the world should not see itself as divided up into different organisations.
Absolutely.
That we need to feel that we're part of an organic whole.
Yeah.
Cool. Is this your first book?
Yeah, it's my first novel. Yeah, it is.
Are you writing anything else at the
minute? Well, I am actually writing a sequel to this.
Okay.
I've started writing that, and also writing a book about an old people's home where they're trying to close the older person's home down, residential home, and how people fighting back to not close the home down, and then looking at characters going back in history about why characters didn't get on to try and show the humanity of people's lives, because when people get to a certain age, especially in this society, it's almost like they're worthless, they're nobody or invisible. So I want to try and make out the people's lives and the which lives people have, again really going back to humanity and the changes people have, really.
Do you write every day, or do you
I don't
write
really.
when
I write
in
in sort of spurts and starts, really, when I get time. Or I think it's based on my frustration, anger sometimes about what's going on, and sometimes something frustrates me and I write something down or add to it. And
So what has been the reaction to can openers?
well, I'm really pleased with the reaction, to be honest.
Tell us about it.
I mean, the proudest moment for me was when the mental health service users in Manchester invited me to their meeting last year, during a meeting to discuss it, and actually bought a number of books and really sort of praised it on their website. And to me that means a lot. So I work in mental health, and it's really difficult working in mental health. We try our best, but because of time, in fact, try and give people time. But it's just fantastic. People who use the service add something about for them, really. So that was just such a fantastic. And just from a novel point of view, I've had people say they've really enjoyed it, enjoyed the story, enjoyed the thriller bit of it, and the what happens during Frederick's process. He ends up in the gutter. Why he ends up in the gutter, from being at the top of the defence department, he ends up in the gutter. And people like the story, and people say, I couldn't put it down. That just means I've never done anything like this in my life. It's just fantastic that people saying they can't put it down. It's just lovely for me.
Got any key writers you're influenced by?
Over the years, I've read novels off and on. Funny enough, I've got into literature in big ways since writing my book, really, quite a lot of the time. I mean, George Orwell has some influence. It's not necessarily 1984, because it's Orwell. I mean, my favourite book is Homage to Catalonia, which is about the Spanish Civil War, and I think that is George Orwell's best novel, and he really epitomises Spanish Civil War. When it's about the anarchists and the socialists, almost fighting together in Barcelona rather than united. And there's a bit in Homage to Catalonia that says, look, as soon as the idea of the revolution, a future society stops, then the Spanish Civil War would disappear. And I thought that's lovely writing for George Orwell, who actually didn't come from that tradition initially. So I think George Orwell has a big influence on me.
So he sees the world as connected up, just like you do.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, George Orwell, I think 1984 was an attack on Stalinism, but it wasn't. With Stalin, my state in that it's a bit Stalinist in itself, and but I think George Orwell 84 had quite a pessimistic conclusion. I think you can have an optimistic conclusion. I think sometimes we never know how strong we are. I remember in the miners, I think in the miners' strike, there was reports at certain times of the miners' strike, the miners could have won, but they never knew. And sometimes there was a dispute in London around the National Gallery, which went on months, and they won the dispute recently. And people don't hear about those things, and they was on strike and they won it, but they never know you're going to win until you win. And that's confidence and belief. And I think you can change. I think even in the worst. So my book is trying to say, look, the can openers was in such a totalitarian factory, people treated like dirt, but just holding production up for 2 hours, they wrecked the whole multinational empire, because in this dystopian world, everything's interlinked, and if just one thing, by challenging it, can collapse things.
Had to push one improvement in the NHS that you think would make a massive difference to the people working within the sector and the people using it, what would it be?
I think it's actually giving time, somehow to give time to people.
Freeing up some time.
Freeing time. Because in the end, the business model, the marketisation in NHS, is all about taking time away. And to me, people who suffer with difficulties, people haven't got the time, and also just on the basis level, there's no beds for people anymore. People have to go miles from home.
Thank you very much for coming in, Mal. So that's Mal Jones, Can Openers. That's all for tonight. Thanks for watching About Books. We'll see you next time.